Good evening, welcome to Rivalz Racetrack. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross here as we are. And Adam, you're bopping away to music. You can't be bopping away to the theme music because there's not much there to bop to, but you got the little head bop going.
I just came home from the gym. We're into the final stretch of my challenge with Dave Hunzinger, and I'm in a good mood. It's almost race season. You want to hear something tragic, though? Well, I shouldn't say it's tragic. Given recent circumstances, I shouldn't say tragic. But I was at the Y Saturday, and I weighed in the middle of the day. I was at the Y tonight. I weighed 6 pounds heavier than I did on Saturday. 6 pounds! Like, how does that happen?
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Let's talk about, wasn't there another 5K in Lewiston Friday night you were supposed to go to, but you pulled your muscle and couldn't attend? Is that what I got wind of? I thought I dropped out because I'm in the bad spot, but Adam's in the bad spot. I was waiting. Wait a minute, did I stop? Let's bring in our first guest while we wait for Adam to reconnect. Joe Chisholm is going to join us here. Joe Chisholm has his hands in a lot of different things weekly as we get through the racing season. And as we wait for Adam to reconnect there, can you kick him out and reconnect him, Spencer? I'm not sure how that works. But Joe, welcome to the program, buddy.
Hey, Clinton, how are you?
I'm good. Adam has frozen. But that's okay because if I could cryogenic his mouth, we'd be set.
At least he froze in like a photogenic way, right? Like usually it's like, it looks like you're a cartoon character, and it still looks good.
I think it was appropriate that he went silent as soon as I started busting his balls about skipping the extra 5K last week. But Joe, we'll wait for Adam to get back.
Add 6 pounds. How you add 6 pounds over a weekend? I can definitely I can tell anybody how to do that.
Spencer, are we able to go to a 2-shot till we get rid of Adam, get him back? But let's talk, Joe, what you've got going on. First off, congratulations to you and your dad jumping up with Rev TV. A lot of us have watched Racetime Radio for a long time and listened, and now you guys are having a visual aspect out. You got your YouTube channel. You've got live on Rev. Let's talk about how that's going for you guys on the Racetime side of things before we jump in and talk about you're like me. You got 7 careers on the go, so we'll talk about the second one in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. 7 careers, and you're always got to wear a different hat, right? It's been so much fun. Since I came back from Canada, or since I came back from the United States, when I came back, I didn't think I'd be involved in racing, other than just as a hobby. And when I look at it now, it's full tilt. It's so cool. There's so many different avenues here, and the addition to Rev TV with Racetime Radio has just been it's so symbiotic because where Racetime Radio started on Sirius XM. They were affiliated with Score on the Hardcore Sports Network on Sirius XM, and there was a time where it was slotted to go that direction, and they had their own TV channel, the Score, and then they also had their radio program, and just through the way that everything worked out, the Hardcore Sports went away, and Canada Talks came in. So it kind of separated from the Score and that. So it kind of got put on the back burner. But as my dad and the relationship with Rev TV has built, it's been a lot of fun and it's the visual aspect. You guys know it's an important part and the sponsorship aspect of our sport. The more eyeballs we can get on it, the better. And it's been a lot of fun.
Right on.
Man, eyeballs.
Mike Arrow on next week is the plan. Adam, take it away.
Eyeballs is a term that Clinton and I just used yesterday in a conversation. I mean, the name of the game is to get as many as you can. Joe, I think my connection is back. We just changed providers at the house, and I'm not going to say who we changed to. It's phenomenal when it works, but it's been really glitchy, so I apologize for that. I switched over to my cell phone, so that'll be fun when I get that bill. But, yeah, mad props for the use of the word symbiotic. And there's something special. All right. And Joe, you guys have been radio for a long time. Clinton and I have pushed streaming for a long time. There's something special about sitting down on your couch, turning on the TV with a remote control, and being able to tune into a program. As much as we want to say it's no different, we can reach every household in the world, just like you can with Sirius XM radio. It is different. It is something more tangible and more impressive when you can flip a channel on your TV and get to see what it is you want to see.
It's something that it's and it's if you ask, I think if you ask a 12-year-old that same question, I don't think that it's that way for them. I think our demographic is kind of that way, and I feel the same way. I want to sit down on the couch and I want to grab the remote and I want to watch TV. When you look at the way that everything's going, though, it's so cool that that the streaming portion is going to be such a huge part of it, right? It's
great point.
When you look at motorsports, our demographic is our age right now, but when you look at the divisions like the micro sprints over at Tilsonburg, you look at the junior late models at Sunset Speedway, Peterborough Speedway, Varney Speedway, Sauble Speedway. There's a huge junior contingent. The go-karts at Flamborough Speedway, we were just talking about that on the show last night. The youth movement, while it looked like it was kind of dwindling there in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, it's growing leaps and bounds now again. And we're seeing a lot of the second generation drivers that came through the junior programs, like the Andy Camras, the Craig Camras, and I'm just using them as an example. But you're seeing a lot of the second generations that came from the junior programs, and now they're diving into it. And I think Canada's catching up to where the United States has been with the Bandolero program, with the junior dragster program, and all of that. And then as well, the micro sprints. Like you guys know, at Ohsweken, there's a huge contingent of micro sprints as well. And a lot of them are second generation, right? Their dad's running a 410 or a 360 or maybe a Thunderstock, right? So it's so cool to see the second generation coming through.
Joe, we brought you on to talk mainly about the new things going on at Two Speed. We've got a bunch of product offerings here. A lot of the asphalt and pavement racers probably understand the products you've got. You've broken into some dirt products now, specifically sprint car stands and such like that. So, Spencer, roll some of those products. And Joe, maybe you want to just let us know what we're missing here.
Yeah, for sure. So these here, the setup stands are going to be a backbone of our product line. They're a tremendous product for really any form of racing, but when you look at road course racing, when you look at asphalt stock car racing, setup stands are a huge part of it. The tall boy stands is what is basically our flagship, right? It's got the built-in feature where you can have a pull-down system. You can use ratchet strap, you can use a winch, you can use a bunch of different options for that. And when you look at what you're able to do with those, when you combine them with a setup plate, and you combine that with a set of turn plates, it's the setup options are endless with them, and there's zero deflection. It's so important to say that there's zero deflection with them, and our engineering department is severely proud of those, and it's gonna be something that moving into the future is a backbone of what we do. Looking through here, the wide 5 spacers and spring cups, 5-on-5 spacers. We've got those in all different sizes. Basically, if you needed a 1-inch spacer, if you needed a 32nd inch spacer, we can make it. We offer 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/2 for the wide 5s. And then as well, just the stagger caddy that we have is something that's probably our 3rd most popular product that we have currently. Scale carts. Everybody has a set of scales in their shop. These here, for less than $800, you can have a scale cart that tucks away in the corner. You can also get a locking mechanism on the front of it. so nobody can get into it, and as well keep all your elements, all the dirt, all the grime away from that head unit, and as well away from your scales. So tuck them away in the corner, pull them out when you need to. You can also use it to bring it to the racetrack. So yeah, it's, our products right now, we've got 27 different SKUs. I think the last time we were talking, we had 22 different SKUs. It's growing very quickly. Our sprint car stands, we should have our first 10 sets complete by Friday. They're going to be great for both on the asphalt sprint side and on the dirt. I know out west there's a large contingent of super modifieds and sprint cars as well that will be able to utilize them, and they're nice and tall as well, 14 inches tall and very stable.
Joe, what's the best place for someone to get the best place to view up some of this product?
So to take a look at everything, we've got our website, twospeedmotorsports.com, or you can go get2speed.com. That takes you right to the store. A lot of the different products that we have are custom. So we can make custom sizes, custom height. So the biggest thing that I always preach is go onto our website, look up our phone number, look up our email address, just reach out directly. If you're looking for something in the motorsports world, we probably already have it drawn or created. And we can go from there. Obviously, for whether it be, wheel spacers, those types of things, we have them listed. You can order them right online and go from there. But any of the more custom items, whether it be a custom height for a set of jack stands, whatever, we have them available and we have the ability to make it.
Joe, I just have this mental image of you with one of those microphones that straps to your head working a trade show. Like that spiel was smooth. I think that could be your, yeah. Throw in a free chamois and I'm yours.
For the slap chop. I auditioned for it. Vince just beat me out in auditions.
The slap chop. Joe, let's talk about what your summer looks like. Crazy like ours. You're selling race car setup parts through the day, but really, on the weekends, you're just as busy. We talked about you commentating with your dad as co-host of Race Time Radio. We know you're helping Corey and the crew at 2Speed, but, you got to get your radios polished, and it's almost time to start barking in the driver's ears. Who are you going to be calling for this year, and where are we going to see you this summer?
Yeah, so I said last season I was going to take a step back and do a little bit less spotting, and I was a liar. Overcommit over the course of the winter seems like a great idea, and just the way that it's going to work out. But I'm going to be working again with Josh Stoddy in the APC series, and then a bunch of the late model specials that don't cross over with the Pinty series, and then as well Andrew Ranger back with the 27 GM Paille team. Really excited about what we've got going on with that team. I'm excited for both with Josh and Andrew, but last year we got thrown to the wolves pretty good. It was a very late start for the team to get gelled and created. Rangers program this year is completely different. They had a year to think about it. They had a year to weld stuff together, and there's a bunch of new machinery going to be underneath the driver of the 27. So you put Andrew Ranger in a new piece of equipment, he's going to be pretty hard to beat. So it's going to be a fun year. I'm going to, figure in if I'm at the racetrack and there's super stocks on the track or modifieds or hot rods, I'll probably be spotting for one of them as well. I know my buddy Rick Verburn, he'll corner me a few times, and same with Roy Wilkie and those guys. So that'll be, kind of hodgepodge, but we'll see. And then we're going for 4 in a row with the hot rods at Delaware with Dalen Martin. That's kind of cool. We've knocked some pretty good numbers out of the park with Dalen. So we're going to make a return with that and try to get that as well.
It's good to have goals. Who's crew chief in the 27 this year?
I'm not. It'll be a surprise.
There you go. All right. I was like, we know
Joe's
Caden's
overcommitting to that too.
Yeah, why not? Spot crew chief.
Absolutely. Hey, it's doable. No, it's going to be, and I can say this, it's going to be a combination. Which, I think it's always been a combination. It depends on how you look at it with Ranger, but Jeff Wilcox is going to be listed on the piece of paper as crew chief.
Mhm.
Whitey, between the two, Glenn Stiers and Andrew Ranger. I think that they're going to work so well together that there's going to be relatively 3 crew chiefs in the mix with 2 cars. So I don't think that that we're going to name a crew chief specifically, other than on the piece of paper that NASCAR provides. But I think that Wilcox is going to be the acting crew chief, and then Whitey, Whitey and Andrew's relationship is so strong that Whitey could just be there eating a hot dog, and they could talk about a setup idea on the car and make it faster. So it's they've got that relationship. It doesn't matter who the crew chief is. Andrew and Whitey have got that relationship down pat. So it's a combination and a combo effort. Depends on if there's a fine or not, right? If there's a fine, it's we got to name somebody.
You better just get off this show then before you get in trouble.
Hey, it's only probation.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. It
Are you still on double secret probation?
No. That's January 1st, man. I sent out a tweet January 2nd. I'm fully off probation. Watch out, NASCAR.
There you go.
Right on,
we
Joe.
look forward to seeing you.
Hey, it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a great year. I think that the amount of excitement that's out there, Cam and I talked about this at the show. The amount of excitement and the amount of corporate partners that you're seeing come into the sport. I know I've seen some releases on the dirt side. You look at guys like Junior Farley and PV Martin. You look at Kyle Steckley bringing back Pennzoil, Stoddy with Ridgeline. Like, those are all big corporations, and they're coming in and playing with us on the provincial side here in Ontario. And I think that everybody has to hold their head up pretty high when you're looking at that, because it's not just their program that attracts them. It's the entire sport. So I think that we're in for a banner year, and I couldn't be more excited. 2 races at Ohsweken.
Awesome.
How exciting is that?
Well, I'm excited, but I don't know how your pavement guys are liking it.
Hey, bring a garbage can. Bring a garbage can that's a little bit bigger than five gallons. Fill it up with dirt and pull the Caden Lapsovich special. You go right to the front.
Yeah, but he didn't win.
No, he didn't win. Did not win.
No, but he looked good.
In theory.
He looked good for a while.
That's right.
Joe,
I was
thanks
pit
for
reporting
stopping
that
by,
night,
man.
and even I had to look at it and be like, what was that? Did I really just see that happen? But we'll see you in a week or two, Joe. Thanks so much.
You got her. Thanks, guys. Take care.
We get to see Joe quite a bit out on the tours, and as we mentioned, doing a lot of spotting, but also now with Corey and the folks at Caldecott Millwrights for the 2-speed situation there, and good to have Joe on to talk about it. Wow, where do we go from here? Adam, there's so much to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about. We've had some intriguing questions come through the chat, but we'll catch up with them a little bit later on.
Yeah, the one that came down, Merrittville did make the announcement they won't be back with G-Force Lite this year. That was in the comments. Not sure why, but we're okay with it. I mean, I understand, and I think we understand that the feeling and the concern is that, people would just stay home and watch and not come out. And obviously, we're going to have a portion of that in every situation, but I'd like to think that the folks discovering it online are well worth the few that are choosing to stay home. So exciting for the partners we've got, and we wish Merrittville folks the best as they go on whatever social media deal they're going to go out on.
Yeah, and we want to make quality partnerships, Clinton, right there.
Yeah,
there has to be. It's beneficial to both. Obviously, Merrittfield on Spies has a plan in his mind that we're not privy to, and that's fine. So you don't know what will happen in 2024, 2025, but that's what's happening in 2023. And I look forward to seeing what they've got up their sleeve, what they're going to do to promote their brand. And Fran is still
Yeah.
beating the Pete McNell drum. We do have to get him on as a guest. But yeah, I was actually surprised though to see that Merritttville wasn't coming back to G-Force Light. I hadn't heard anything like that, and then all of a sudden we saw the post.
Yeah, I didn't hear it till I saw the post, but that's okay too. It's all good. We're so busy. It was actually pretty tough for us to find crew every week to get them out there. So we'll be busy every Saturday on the road. And whenever I'm off, I'm at Merrittville watching the races. So we encourage all you to go there and check it out as well. Our next guest is waiting online. We'll bring in Chris Lawrence to talk about the rental program. If ever you wanted to get behind the wheel of a bone stock car, Chris is offering them for rentals at Delaware and Flamborough occasionally. It's been a great program. We've seen a few of our friends get into this deal. Chris, welcome to the show, and we're happy to have you here to talk about your program.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Hey, Chris, before we start, yeah, absolutely, man.
Okay.
Can you do me a big favor and just turn 90 degrees to your right or to your left? Doesn't matter which way. We got to see the silhouette. That looks like responsible hair. What? Like that? That's like a big boy haircut.
That's what I've gotten a lot of lately. So between my wife and my mom, they're a big fan of this hair color. And then the wife has been the one that's been trimming my hair through race season. So I think they're kind of boycotting it. But
wow,
this is what we've got right now. We'll see. I might end up coloring it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a calling card, right? You're always easy to spot at the racetrack, partly because you're running around working on 7 cars a night, partly because you're having more fun than anybody else. But it was definitely a good look. Talk a little bit, Chris, about why on earth you do what you do, because it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It kind of for me goes back to when I went to get into racing. I'm a second generation racer. It was kind of really easy for me to get behind the wheel of a family car. We had connections with crew, potential sponsors, that sort of stuff. And now it's a lot harder from what I can see for someone from the outside looking in to kind of get into the sport. Some of the kids programs are a little different than they used to be at the time I was, and sometimes you just kind of miss that age bracket, or people get into racing late. So it kind of worked out that I was building the cars anyways, and we always kind of had a few of them around, that we just kind of turned it into a program where I really tried to get new people into racing. The hope is to kind of get people involved in it and hooked, and they want to move forward on their own with it. But if someone's just looking to try getting out to try a race for one time, or wants to try a bone stock car, it's kind of something that I'm trying to gear up as well with some of my more competitive cars.
Chris, what does a rental cost for the weekend? I was talking to you about it because, just inquiring what it would be. You prefer if they bring their own equipment, safety equipment, but you provide all the rest. What's something like that cost?
So right now, I'm just focused on the Delaware full-time schedule. But it's $300 a night, and that will get you a race-ready car at the track. I like the renters to bring their own safety gear, like you say, just because it's your personal safety. I know the level that I bring for my own equipment, and then I haven't quite got past the whole used helmet sharing thing. I don't know if we need to get some balaclavas or something to maybe make that sort of program work, but I have come across, I've had a few old race suits donated to this program, so we are slowly getting to the point where I have some safety gear, and I'm working with a few people on some options, hopefully coming down the road this summer to maybe put some packages together for safety gear, to kind of offer a more entry level approach to it. But for now, it's just kind of they supply their own gear. We take care of the rest at the track. Damages are on top of that, but really the goal of it is these are entry level cars. I'm not worried about the cosmetic. You bump, you bang. That's racing. That's learning. That's what we want you to do. But if we bend and tear up the suspension, that does happen. Delaware has some good car counts, so I mean, it doesn't take much to kind of get a little out of hand fast. But we've been very fortunate. The damages have been very minimal. I really haven't had to do much for damage clause stuff. Knock on wood, I mean, accidents happen. That's racing. I'm kind of prepared for that. I do have spare parts sitting around, and hopefully nothing too bad happens to the cars, but it is what it is.
Do you have aspirations at all, Chris, to advance that program? Maybe build a super stock? Maybe, do you have big visions, or is this your happy spot and you're going to ride this out?
So for me, honestly, I'm really content with the entry level stuff. I think the best bet for me is to focus most of my time there because I can get more cars for what I can put into it. There are people like Mike McCall and the guys at McCall Racing. They have some of the top equipment there as far as pro late models go. If you're looking to get into a car, I don't think they've have a house super stock so much right now, but I mean, that level and that sort of car to compete on that level is one thing, and then to try and justify renting it out, I'm definitely not at that level. I'm kind of scrounging to put my own pro late model program together, but to be able to kind of offer a program that I think would be the caliber someone would want to get into, I don't think that's something I could do. But that's definitely something I can do with the bone stocks and the entry level stuff. So I think I'm going to stick there for the time being.
Chris, let's talk about that. You showed a preview of the late model that's coming down. Tell us how that's going to work out. Spencer, was the last picture I sent you, the black late model. Show that up. What can you tell us about this car? Who's going to drive it? What the plan is there, Chris?
So that picture there is my brand new APC car, and in the background is what we're chasing, another APC championship. So I was in a position that I have a late model car. I'm invested into it. And when we had our wreck, it was it didn't write off the car by any means, but we just kind of had to reevaluate what we wanted to do. I kind of decided I like the APC route. And then when it comes to driving, I mean, my brother's hands down a better wheelman, and I've got my hands full with this bone stock program. So between me and him, and then my mom, and a lot of help from the guys at McCall's and Mike himself, we've put together a car. I own the car and the program itself. My mom has come on board as a primary sponsor and is letting us use her power plant for the season. I have mine sitting off to the side if we need it. Knock on wood, we don't. But she's giving us a really good chance to take this program and give it what we think is a good shot. Mike's given us a brand new chassis. Well, not given us. We have built a brand new chassis with McCall's, which is what we feel we need to compete up front and at that level. And now we're just slowly building up a crew. I'm working with a couple new people that I haven't necessarily worked a full season with. And then the Chapmans have always been great help on and off the track. They're going to come give us a hand when they can. And then my wife and a few others. My mom will probably be there every week, and we'll try and draw a little bit, hopefully a little bit more APC level experience, just to kind of help us. Joe's there as far as crew and driver go, so he's kind of steering that ship as far as the car setup wise and everything like that. And then I'm taking care of everything behind the scenes, trying to make sure we've got fuel and tires and everything he needs to go put on the race that I think he can.
It takes a village to run one of these cars, Chris. We look forward to seeing you at the racetrack. I look forward to seeing your energy at the track, watching you jump around from one pit to the next. Thanks for taking the time to come and chat with us tonight. We'll see you at the racetrack.
Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the racetrack and getting Clinton out behind the wheel.
Right on. See you, Chris. We'll be in touch. I actually called him for my dad, Adam, this week. Gary wants to go out and race again, and I thought, well, let's just go for it. So
nice.
We're trying to figure out a date with Chris. We get the old boy back behind the wheel. Now, I would like to try it too. I had fun racing the Alex Schutz instant installation cars in the pure stocks a few years ago at Flamborough. Good times. We have so much stuff to get through. We have one more guest that's going to join us in a few minutes. About 10 minutes, Stephen Petty's going to come to us, Adam. But we've got about 10 different stories we're just going to kick her down, fly through. First off, tickets are open for Osh Weekend's major events. We mentioned it last week, the super ticket. All 5 nights, $125 includes your pit pass. You can pick that up online by going to the Osh Weekend website, clicking the ticket link, and following to the show pass situation. But $125 with all access is pretty wild. We also have our VIP event coming up, those both nights too. If you're in the corporate world or just want to have a couple drinks and dinner before you enjoy the races, both nights before the Fresh Stone Dirt Classic and the Pinty's 100, we have all kinds of VIP packages available. You can pick those up on the Osh Weekend website. Tickets are open now for sale on those major events. Time for our Burger Barn video of the week, Adam. Let's look at this one. The blue video, Spencer couldn't convert for some reason. It was Glenn's dog saluting everybody. If you know Blue, the husky Glenn Stiers has, it was a great video. We'll work on trying to get that converted for next week. But let's jump into the Burger Barn video of the week. This is why you should always wear a helmet, Adam, when you're in the pits, no matter what you're riding.
Oh, no.
We had to take the music out because but Joel, wear your helmet, buddy. It's just not good. Not good at all.
Man, oh man, that was a tough landing. I
think we need to see that again.
Video.
Roll that one again, Spencer, just because now that we see when he wipes out. So this had some cool music behind it, but whoa, you had to see going through the wet stuff. It wasn't going to be good.
Oof. That hurt me and my feelings.
Wear your helmets. Wear your helmets, folks. Jared Horseman, this was an interesting story, Adam. I don't know if you saw this one. Jared Horseman, a racer from the Michigan, Ohio era, comes to Osh Weekend for the Canadian Nationals every year in all the big events. This was an interesting deal. Throw up the shot here, Spencer. So Jared Horseman, when he was driving his sprint car on the weekend, somehow the cover came off his MSD box and shocked him through his ring finger and burned his hand. So there's the MSD box, and you can see right where it is by the wheel there. Somehow he got shocked through his ring finger and burned his hand. Now, Jared was all right. Show all the pictures there, Spencer, but somehow that ring connected to the box and burnt his hand up pretty good. Jared was able to get the car rode up and pulled off to the side before getting run over, which was great. Here's the deal. Update on Jared Horseman from last night's electrical shock he took. His magnesium box is in front of his steering wheel. During the feature, he knocked the cover off the mag and put direct current into his left ring knuckle and pinky, sending a charge into his shoulder, burning a hole in his glove. He lost control on his left arm and couldn't move it. Fortunately, he was able to kill the motor, and the rest of the field was able to avoid him. He's sore but planning on racing again tonight. What a story, Adam. I think it's the first time I've ever heard of anything like that.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard of something like that. And the crazy thing about electrical charge, Clint, is it goes in, it has to go out somewhere. Like it can go through your body and cause you some serious harm. It can kill you. So the fact that it went in his hand and out his shoulder is probably pretty much a blessing, although I would imagine it didn't feel that way at the time.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Just such a freak accident. Just goes to show you anything can happen at the races.
there's things I see when walking through the pits, and it's in some of the open wheel divisions. TQ midgets, Clint, scare the life out of me. Like where their radiators are. Ryan Hunsinger got burnt really bad with fluid, right? Junior Fardy, I think, was the same situation where certain things are mounted. In fact, in a dwarf car, I think the radiator sits up behind the driver's head, if I'm not mistaken. And I've always
Yeah, and a
found that
mod light,
like a mod light.
right here behind the driver. Yeah, so nothing like burn it right down your back, but you know.
And it's probably a protected space. It probably makes sense because you get some airflow and it is protected up there. But if something should happen, makes me cringe.
Let's jump on a couple quick topics, and then we'll bring in Stephen Petty. Just a couple, we see lots of hodgepodge stuff as we're cruising around. No tire wrap, Adam. This was something that came out this week, and you were a big fan of this. One of the speedways in the South said, no tire wrap, no more wrapping your tires before you come in. And basically the background is over the past few seasons, they've noticed an exponential increase in tire wrap being left on the ground. It's basically saran wrap the size of a big race tire. Teams will clean them, prep them, and then wrap them up to keep them pure until they get to the track. They've asked repeatedly. Now, one of the tracks here in the state says at Red Dirt Raceway, it says $50 fine per tire, per plastic wrap, if you even tow in with them on your trailer, which I thought was pretty wild. Adam, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, the cooler thing is, as it keeps going, it says if it continues to be a problem, the fines are just going to be taken off the purse, starting with the winner's purse. So, if it's a problem, that's a great way to deal with it, Clinton. Like, you asked nicely twice. Third time, it's whatever you want, right? Like, it's however you want to deal with it. And whoever owns the track or whoever runs the joint, that's their prerogative.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where you get a couple bad apples that ruin it for everybody. But we have the same problem here with our transponder situation, our Schweekend Speedway. That's why I'm at the track right now. We just had a staff meeting from 6:30 till 8. And one of the big things we're doing this year is we've asked drivers for years to get off the rental program for the transponders. We've raised the price. We've given them payment plans. Now this year, we've just come out of our meeting and said, we're only scoring you 3 times on our transponders. If you're not going to buy your own, you can run at the back. It ain't going to matter no more. So we've tried to be polite. We've tried to push them, and now we're just going to have to be pricks to get where we need to get in the end of it. So I'm with it.
And I don't know. I like to acknowledge all of the comments that come in, Clinton, so I am going to mention it. I think we should. There's been a couple of questions, vague questions about the 5D, and then one asking a question about, can hearsay get you banned from a racetrack? Along the similar lines, Clinton, when you participate in any activity where you rely on an individual who owns the playground, you were at the mercy of that individual, right?
Yep.
It's very rare, but it happens. It's not a court of law. It's not even a court of public opinion. If the owner of a venue has an issue that is serious enough that they do not want you at their venue, they don't need a reason, they don't need a justification, they don't need to explain why. It is what it is. People who need to know probably do know. I'm not one of those people, Clinton. But the point is, whether it's Flamborough Speedway, Ashweekend Speedway, Brighton Speedway, it looks like the 5D of Jacob Dykstra will not be racing at Ashweekend Speedway and won't be racing in an Action Sprint Tour. Both of those things are owned by Glenn Stiers, and that's how it is.
Yeah, I don't know how deep I want to get into it, and I'm shocked you just brought it up like that, by the way.
Well, it was in the comment. It was in the comments and it's public knowledge.
It's not really, though. It's public hearsay right now. Let's talk about the situation, though. You're absolutely right. It doesn't even have to be a serious situation. If I don't like the way you pet my dog at my speedway, you're not welcome anymore. If I don't like the color green and you show up with a green race car, you're not welcome at my speedway no more. I mean, it's private property. You don't need a reason. So it is what it is, and it's not my situation, so I'm staying well out of it. But
no, for sure. That's like I say. I brought it up because there's comments about it, and hey,
Let's bring on our next guest, Stephen Petty. Stephen, welcome to the show, buddy. How's it going?
Going good. How are you guys?
Good. Stephen is the announcer at a couple of racetracks in the States. Got Ransville on the go, got Lancaster on the go, got Rush late models when he needs to fill in there. Stephen, I brought you on to talk about the gentleman who's behind you in your picture, though, tonight. You knew Kyle Inman. We lost Kyle Inman this week. He passed away due to cancer. None of us even really knew he was sick. So it was shocking at that. Super Dirt Week champion, many-time race winner, a classy guy. What can you tell us about Kyle Inman and the situation, Stephen?
Pretty much not too many people knew he was sick, and I did, being a friend of the family, he said, just keep it quiet, don't let anybody know. And sure enough, he was gone before we knew it, and it was just sad and tragic. Like, I'm still deeply sad and shocked by it to this day. And it happened Sunday morning, and I literally almost fell down and burst into tears right in the middle of my church sanctuary, because that's when I found out, because my phone was going off. Like, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? And it's just sad. But with Kyle, yeah, he was multi-time track champion at Genesee. He's a BEI Lightning Series champion for Sportsman. A Super Dirt Week winner. That was pretty much the cream of the crop for him. And he even ran a couple of 358s for a year or two. And just getting ready for would be this season. He'll be going like maybe once, twice a month. But just losing Kyle is just a heartbreak. And he's definitely one of the nice guys in racing. If you have that dictionary saying one of the nice guys in racing, Kyle is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I used the word tragic earlier on. I don't even remember what I was talking about, and I walked it back a little bit because I knew we were going to talk about tragedy later on in the show. So I didn't know Kyle. I enjoyed watching him race, but I do know that he was too damn young to suffer. Our condolences go out to his friends and his family, Stephen, and you as well.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, he died. He was 39. He leaves his girlfriend Sarah and his two young girls, Isabel and Elizabeth, and it's just sad all around. And definitely gonna miss him around the racetrack.
Let's switch gears a bit, Stephen. Ransomville Speedway is supposed to get going. Fran just mentioned that the practice tomorrow has been moved to Friday, so that's not going to happen. What can you tell us about Ransomville this year, and why people should be excited about heading over there on Friday nights?
Well, the 65th anniversary of the Big R, and if I say the names, Matt Williamson, Eric Rudolph, Ryan Susi, Pete Bicknell, Chad Brockman, every Friday night. It's usually a pretty good crowd, and the modifieds are just fantastic there. The Sportsmen as well, our dirt car sanctioned for the Sportsmen, plus we got street stocks, mini stocks, novice Sportsmen. We're bringing the ESS in June for the Ron Lux Memorial. August, the Southern Ontario Sprints make their return to Ransomville for the first time in, I believe, over a decade. Last time the SOS was there. And then, of course, our two big shows. We have the Tezos All-Star Circuit of Champions on July 7th. And then Tuesday, August 22nd, with a rain date of Wednesday, August 23rd, the 39th running of the Summer Nationals for the Big Block Modified Super Dirt Car Series, plus monster trucks and a whole slew of other things. We got demo derbies, we got bike races, we got pit crew contests. You name it, we have it. The schedule is online, ransomvillespeedway.com.
Where else are you going to be this summer, Stephen?
Let's see. Well, I'll start Thursday nights at Ransomville because I announced for the Little R, and we'll start with our kart school on Sunday. And then Friday nights, Ransomville for Friday night show. And then Saturdays, Lancaster Motorplex in Lancaster, New York.
Among other things, Stephen's also a triple threat. I like when Stephen comes to announce. He DJs, he writes the releases, gets it all going. If you need anybody in your Speedway staff in the tower, I highly recommend Stephen. Stephen, thanks for being with us here today. I know it's touching, tough time for you, but we want to get someone who knew Kyle and can talk about what a champion he was, and we appreciate you. You've done a great job letting us know his story, and we'll be looking for you throughout the season.
Sounds good, and we'll see. I'll be up there a few times, so hopefully you'll make the trip over to see me, and I'll come see you. How about that?
Yeah, get here for a Monday, Tuesday. Nobody's got the excuse not to come to that one because you're not doing nothing on the Monday. Thanks everybody and Steven for coming. We still got a few more things to get through here. Let's look at Paul's weather report, Spencer. Here's a good example. Paul Small shared this on the weekend. The blue dot in the lower middle of the screen is where he was at Utica Rome. He said, this has been the radar at Utica Rome for an hour, not a drop at the track. So how crazy is that, Adam? If I looked at that, I would think there's no way we could be continuing to race throughout the program. It just goes to show you that even if the satellite looks horrible, it's like back to the Glenn Steyer's theory of the rock. Well, who cares what the screen says?
Yeah.
Is the rock wet yet?
And it looked like they had a pretty good crowd because I tuned into that show for a little while Friday night, and the stands looked to be well attended, well filled, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, Deo's doing a good job. Of course, they're working on trying to get that $50,000. I saw their video today for the the NASCAR situation, trying to get the extra money in to help make improvements, which is kind of cool there. A couple other stories to look at. Mark Hitchcock retires, Adam, longtime modified racer in the Eastern Ontario end of the woods. Mark Hitchcock rose to be the dirt tech guy. Got in a bad accident last year and in the car, and not a race car, but I believe it was a highway accident, and recovered for a bit. Mark has decided to step away. Show that screenshot if you can, Spencer. So Hitchcock has decided to retire. Mark had a lot to do with the entire dirt car industry and everybody down there. So everybody from Charlotte up through New York and Quebec, Canada, Ontario, everybody wishes Mark the best as he moves off in retirement. It's all right. We'll move on from that. Go-kart Mozart, Adam, you want to talk. We lost Gordon Lightfoot yesterday. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, Canadian icon Gordon Lightfoot, and some people may not know what that has to do with racing, but he was an avid go-kart racer. So if you look through
I didn't know
historic
that.
he raced at Goodwood back in the 70s. And the reason I said go-kart Mozart is because I remember hearing an interview, and I'm not sure if it was on E Street Radio or if it was on a Gordon Lightfoot documentary that I watched. But there was some speculation whether Go-Kart Mozart, the lyric in Bruce Springsteen's song Blinded by the Light, actually was a reference to Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I do know that Gordon Lightfoot threw phenomenal parties back in the day. Like every big star in music made their way to Gordon Lightfoot's place for periods of time. So it wouldn't surprise me if Bruce Springsteen was one of those people. And that is just a story that I heard. But tragic that Gordon Lightfoot passed at 84. He did a lot of racing. I believe most of the racing that he did was at Goodwood Kart Track.
Well, I took broadcasting in school, and they taught us about CanCon, which is Canadian Content Laws here in Canada, where a certain number of your content on your radio stations or that has to be Canadian. And I mean, that's why we had much music here, because, it was all Canadian. It had to be a massive part of Canadian content. But back in the days of Anne Murray and Gordon Lightfoot, CanCon made them the music of everybody's life. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing Anne Murray or Gordon Lightfoot, because they were the two really good Canadian artists at that time. And our college professors talked about, man, you could still hear those, every note of those burned into your head because you had to play so much of them back in the 70s. Alex Bowman breaks his back, Adam. Let's talk about that. NASCAR racer Alex Bowman got hurt in the sprint car last week. Spencer, do we have the video? If we do, roll it.
Oh man. Watch the other car.
Yeah. So Alex Bowman, by breaking his back, is going to find himself out of the NASCAR ride for the foreseeable future. Now we've had Chase Elliott get hurt, Alex Bowman get hurt. We're hearing now that J.D. Gibbs passed away, that the Gibbs boys are not allowed to participate in anything but NASCAR. Are we going to see these guys get brought down a bit further, Adam, on the notch to say, hey, no more messing around outside your day job, guys?
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the what and the why, because rather than say, is it going to happen, say, should it happen? And I've got arguments both ways. And if I rarely watch NASCAR Race Hub, but I happen to tune in, I think it was Monday night, Larry McReynolds, man, he got up on a soapbox and made a fantastic point saying that rule was brought in for drivers who get injured while racing NASCAR. It was specifically like their notion was Kyle Busch when he broke his foot racing at Daytona.
Yep.
The waiver is not necessarily meant to be when you do something outside of NASCAR racing and injure yourself, although it has been used for that. So, do you lump Chase Elliott's snowboarding accident into the same category as Alex Bowman's sprint car racing accident? I
It's
do
so
not.
hard. Go ahead.
I don't lump them together because I can argue that racing a sprint car makes you sharper. The Tony Stewart, when he was at his absolute best, when Kyle Larson's been at his absolute best, it's when he was racing multiple times every week. And I'm so glad Richard Hadler brought up this point, and I don't mean to pick on you. Let them live. If not, you better tell them to stop jogging or bike riding or weightlifting. You can't bubble wrap the drivers. Richard, that's where respectfully I think you're absolutely wrong. When I invest millions of dollars into you, you don't see this happen very often to football players, hockey players, basketball players. They tend not to risk their lives doing other things and making mistakes that really hurt them. Racing is a sport that relies so heavily on financial involvement. It relies so heavily on millions of dollars being spent on a specific team and a specific driver that I say, yeah, you can get killed crossing the street, and I'd feel bad if you did, but the chances of you getting hurt in a race car are that much worse. Kyle Larson tried to explain it in an interview, and it didn't work either, Clinton. It sounded like someone who has an agenda, and they do. They all want to race. So here's what I say to you to close out this thought. If anybody wants to race 7 nights a week, they can. Kyle Larson had that opportunity when he got suspended from NASCAR. But when he got the chance to go back to NASCAR, he went back, and he went back in a hurry. Because that's where the money is, and that's what they do. How bad do you want the paycheck?
No, I mean, it's so hard to distinguish, well, this is allowed, that's not allowed, this is smart, that's not smart. But, I mean, even Adam, you got to think about, you have time to live your life, but you also have time to choose the profession. You chose to be a race car driver. Now, are you going to have a baseball player out there doing something where he may break his arm? No, they're not going to allow that. It's not going to be smart. So, yeah, you want the drivers to live. There's no way you can qualify what's allowed and what shouldn't be allowed. I mean, that's so tough to do. I think it just comes down to you just got to be smart. How many times, Adam, have you or I had a bid weekend, even me, like opening weekend? I know I got 3 nights of stuff. I'm going to have to be 3 places. I cannot go out and go bungee jumping the week before. It just wouldn't be smart, knowing I could hurt myself with what I got committed coming up. So, yeah, you do want them to live. I realize that racing isn't everything, but if you choose to get to the top level of a sport that pays you millions of dollars, you should respect that back. And your employers, and it's more, hey, I get it. The driver wants to live, but what about your team? What about these other guys who put their life on the line for you, to back you up, and you don't care? I mean, look,
And
how
I'm not
hypocritical
bashing.
am I? How hypocritical am I? Because I'm saying it shouldn't be allowed. But if Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell said they'd come race at our weekend in August, we're signing them on tomorrow. But It's just one of those things. Like, as the boss hat, I'm like, no, that's dumb. As a fan hat, I'm like, come on down. Great discussions to be had. We got 2 more quick topics.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank Richard for that opinion, because I'm glad he brought it up, because it is a very popular opinion and I respect it to pieces. I just think that when the business combines with the love and the passion of the sport, things get really hazy. And the people with the money, they're the ones who make the rules, because it's their sandbox. So Rick Hendricks owns a lot of sandboxes. Great opportunity for Josh Berry, though.
Man, he helps these Hendrick guys keep breaking their legs and back, because he just keeps getting the call. Good experience for him, that's for sure. How about the Truex boys winning both races this weekend? That's a kind of a cool story. Don't want to delve in that too much. Go ahead.
How about it being 12? I didn't realize how long Ryan Truex has been at it. It was 12 years
Yeah.
ago he almost won it. That's a long time to wait to get your redemption.
The before and after picture, did you see that in the broadcast where he's a young pimply faced kid with short hair, and then they show him again, he's like this long haired, mature guy now.
To me, he looks like a BG now.
Yeah.
His current look, I don't know why.
Let's take a look at Stuart Friesen's retro paint scheme coming up for Darlington. This is the Ivan Little retro scheme. Super cool that they got behind. This was a charity auction deal. I'm not sure who would have paid for this. I bet James Little, Ivan's son's, probably got something behind it. But cool deal, Adam, to see one of the Niagara racers get honored back down at Darlington this year. And Ivan Little was one of the best out of Maryville, Ranceville ranks over the years, for sure.
Hats off to Stuart Friesen and, of course, to Halmar for having so much respect for the history of the sport. I'm the older I get, I was already a big Stuart Friesen fan. The older I get, the more I appreciate what he brings to the sport and what he continues to deliver to fans in the Northeast, in New York, in Ontario, in Quebec, when he comes up here and continues to play with us.
Yeah, what I like about Stu is he's authentic. He's the same every day, no matter whether he's got his NASCAR suit on or his dirt suit, or same all around. Here's the topic we're going to leave you with. The ultimate, the real choose meme came out this week. Show us, Spencer. It's the choose. Adam, you get to choose. Top-notch equipment owned by someone else and they call all the shots, or owning your own mediocre stuff and racing how you want.
And it's an interesting, it's an interesting question. It depends who you are, Clinton. And I think your brother is a prime example of that, right?
I asked Mike to come on, and he said no. He goes, this year, I'm just not going to talk much. He goes, I'm just going to shut up and race, and I don't have nothing to say, so I'm not coming on. But that's where a good example of this, to me, is Nick Sheridan, okay? Nicky Sheridan and the Sheridans have a young upcoming star, Nick. We all know what Jake can do, but Nick's a teenage wonder kid in the 360s. Ronnie, his dad, has had teams come up and say, hey, why don't you think about bringing Nick with us? I have vehemently told him, just stick where you are. The kid's already winning. Your equipment's decent. It's not always greener on the other side with the big teams. My brother's a classic example of a guy who runs way better in his own mediocre stuff than he does with top-notch equipment with other guys calling the shots. It's just how your personality is. I think when you're young and hungry and coming in, you look at that opportunity. If you're a gristled veteran who's been through the ringer a few times, you know it's much better off to just call your own shots and maybe less stressful. I don't know. I thought that was a great talk bit, whatever you guys want to throw in there. I think it'd be fun. Derek says middle. Right down the middle sounds good. Little bit of good equipment, little bit of calling it myself. Yeah, it's tough to say. What you pick, Adam?
And I would lean towards top-notch equipment owned by somebody else. But
yeah,
when I go way back to my racing days, I like to think that I got along well with people, right? I blended. It was good. It was social. I that's the direction I would gravitate to. I never wanted to be a racer. The closest I ever got to being a car owner was racing with Connor last year. We only owned the damn engine. We didn't even own the car. That is not something I ever aspired to.
Yeah, me either. I don't want to do either thing. That or race direct. Car owner or race direct. Both things are on my do not do list here on the Racing World. Well, we've cleaned the slate again. We got through everything another week.
Yeah,
Closer
man.
to it.
Sorry for my technical issues at the beginning, but
I'm surprised mine worked. So we got through it, and I made it in at 8:00. So that was good.
Perfect. It's almost go time, man.
For us. Yeah, can you believe it? So we got one more show before we're at the speedways. It's going to be crazy.
I got thinking, Clinton, if you've got another 90 seconds or so, thinking about Gordon Lightfoot. That's all the radio stations that I listened to were talking about him today. And I thought, man, he just had a passion for it. He was gifted. And we have a passion for car racing. We only get to do our passion less than 5 months a year. And then we have to, like, you've got your music, you know, not to say that we don't have any other interests, but kind of sucks. We, like, less than half the year we get to do what it is we absolutely love, and the rest of the time we got to sit here one night a week telling stories to try to pass the time until we get back to when we all get to do it again.
Yeah, we get to spend 7 months pretending like we know what we're talking about, and 5 proving we don't know what we're talking about. So,
Well said.
I'll answer one question there, Wes. People asked about test and tune prices. $25 a head for the pits at Oshweek grandstands open for free. That'll do it for tonight. Thank you, Spencer, for all you do. Thanks, Adam, for making it work. We appreciate everybody stopping by and visiting with us. Next week, we're going to have a big show. Make sure you're here to see it. Lots of media stuff going to be announced. We have some major deals
Big
in the works, and we've been holding on to them. It's been hard. It's been very hard to keep our lips shut, but some major media announcements coming down with G-Force TV and our partner tracks and our series. Stick with it. Next Tuesday is going to be a great one. We look forward to letting you know what's going on. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Spencer. See you guys later. I'm going home.